Alright, you're here with DJ Buzz. We're right here on UORadio.com, and this is our Saturday weekly talk show, which we do here on UORadio every Saturday. And I want to thank you all for tuning in for our talk show. We got a lot of things which we're going to be covering today, on various different topics. And I want to start off by introducing our DJs here with us today. We have DJ Deadeye from Sonoma, who's here with us, and we have DJ Lavender from Lake Superior. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and introduce them and give them a opportunity to say hello to you guys. So starting with DJ Deadeye, go ahead and say hello.
Well, hello, y'all. This is DJ Deadeye. I'm glad you were able to make it for our talk show. We got some interesting stuff to talk about, so stick around.
Yep, most indeed we do. Go ahead, Lavender, introduce yourself and say hello to everybody out there.
Howdy, everybody. This is DJ Lavender. This is my first time on the talk show. I have been away for a while. I am back. Glad to be back, and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, it's glad to have you. We're just glad to have you back, and yeah, and so yeah, you said this is your first time, so I'm sure it's going to be quite interesting for you, to get the feel of how we do our talk shows and everything. It's kind of different, and so with that said, we'll go ahead and jump right into our first question or our first topic here. And basically, it has to do with eating in the game and everything. I don't know if you guys have noticed as of late, but you can actually eat a lot more now, and it seems like you have to eat a lot more. And when I say you can eat a lot more, I'm talking about consumption-wise. I mean, it seems like you can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat before you ever get full. And then, you eat, and then about an hour later, you got to eat some more. So I'm kind of curious. Whereas before, you ate, and you was probably full for a whole entire week prior to UOML. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not you guys think they might be planning on doing something with eating, and whether or not it actually has an effect on the actual gameplay now that you have to keep regularly feeding yourself and stuff like that. Go ahead, starting with DJ Deadeye. Go ahead, Deadeye, and tell us what you think about it.
Well, I know in days before, pre-UOR and everything like that, you had to eat, because if you were hungry, you didn't do as well, in combat or whatever. Like, say, if you're an archer, you're shooting, you start missing, or you're swinging your axe and you're missing, or you're having less results and failing more times. It used to be very important when you were mining and bringing in your ore and smelting, especially on the higher end stuff. You had to make sure you eat, and also spell casting. And I'm not sure, but it seems like it's that way again, because when I get out and I'm not eating, I'm missing, like with my archer, I'm missing more shots and everything. But, I got to say that you're having to do an awful lot. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I don't normally carry cooked fish steaks for that sort of thing, and I decided I was going to mix them up and liquefy them or something and start me an IV. Geez.
Oh yeah, a very good point there, and that's actually got quite a bit of humor to it and everything. Go ahead, Lavender.
I have to agree with Deadeye, because I've noticed on my mage, when I'm hungry, I fail a lot more. My spells fizzle and stuff, but it's almost, to me, it's almost ridiculous how much you have to eat. My feeling is that maybe they're doing it to increase the validity of cooks, for if you have a character that has cooking, the reason for having a cook, because really, I mean, I have a character that is a cook, and I really didn't see any sense in it other than because I have a fisherman too, taking care of all the fish and all that, but sometimes I think it's just a little ridiculous to have to eat so much other than, making a reason for people wanting to make a cook character.
Yeah, and that's a very good point that you raised up there. Deadeye, did you want to add something to that, or did you just forget to turn off your little light over there?
No, I had something to add. Is that like Lavender was saying, that you were having to eat so much, and I don't see a problem with that. I mean, as far as the eating's concerned, to having a factor again, I think it adds a little bit of realism in the game. It also creates markets for fishermen and everything. Turn around and sell fish steaks. People are making food and stuff. You know, that used to be when eating was definitely required. You know, you could set up a vendor and sell fish steaks and stuff like that and do fairly well. You know, which is another thing. You know, for people to generate gold with in the game, and help the economy and all that good stuff. So, but I think they've got turned up way too high. I think they could pinch that down about half and still accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point that you bring up there, because if they were to turn it up a little bit, it would actually create more of a demand for cooked fish steaks and all that good stuff, which might actually help generate a not so much an economy, but more of a demand for for fish steaks and other types of foods, in which other people can provide these other characters. Go ahead, Lavender.
I'm just reading IRC. Sketchy says, just FYI, a roasted pig will fill you up 100%. Just to let people know.
Okay, yeah. Haven't tried eating a roasted pig in a while. I'm actually kind of curious if you can actually make a roasted pig from scratch or not, because if I don't know if you can or not. I think you actually have to go and buy that from an NPC, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody know about that? Go ahead and Lavender.
No, you can't make one, but you can. Yes, you can buy it from an NPC. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the... Oh my goodness, I just went brain dead. One of the monsters in Ilsh will give it also.
Okay, so you can actually get it off a monster. I'm kind of wondering, and following up on that question right there, or that topic about roasted pigs and everything, I'm wondering in the future if they have any plans to maybe introduce roasted pigs onto the menu item as to what, chefs can make and stuff. Do you guys think they'll ever maybe introduce that to the list of things that you can make it with your chef, or whenever you're out there playing Ultima Online? Do you think that we'll ever see that as a possibility introducing to the game later on? Deadeye?
Could you start making what? I missed that part.
Yeah, do you think we might ever see roasted pigs added to the game to where chefs can actually, dish out a roasted pig, on the menu?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see it. I think it'd be a good idea, if they're tending to do this cooking thing and whatnot. I think it'd be real neat if I've seen people in their house make a decoration by using a large forge and throwing a skinned goat up there and make it look like a barbecue. Why not have a hearth or something that you got roasted on, and you got to go through something to do it? Yeah, it'd be kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, like Sketchy's saying over here, yeah, roasted pig is not currently available on the list of things that you can actually cook or anything like that. So I just want to quickly point that out to everybody out there, so you don't assume that, yeah, it's available now. No, it's not. So I just want to quickly put that out there. But moving along to our next question here. I don't know if you guys been participating a lot in the I'm sure if you're listening in and everything, you've probably given the community collections a little bit of a dabble, probably sunk a few resources into that little baby, and check things out and see how that went and everything. I'm kind of wondering whether or not you guys think that the resources are giving just entirely way too many points, or do you think it's fine the way it is, or do you think they actually need to reduce the number of reward points given for some of the resources? Like, for example, Valorite's given 39 reward points, which is the equivalent to, if you were to pay with gold, well, every 15 gold equals 1 reward point. So we're essentially talking about a Valorite ingot being worth 535 gold, if I did my math correctly here. I mean, do you guys think resources should take a higher priority over gold? I mean, especially if they're trying to look for ways to remove gold from the circulation, that is, like a gold sink? Or are we trying to establish a resource sink? And let's just say if EA was aiming to make a resource sink out of this, wouldn't that essentially encourage people to go out and script mine and script lumberjack and stuff like that? Go ahead, starting with Deadeye.
Well, I haven't actually done any of those things yet, but as you know, I was over on the forums for an hour or so today, and I was reading some stuff over there, and I saw some comments that kind of interesting, that a lot of people seem to be feeling that how it's working is allowing too many reward items, artifacts, and stuff to get out on the market, devaluating the ones that are out there because the way they have it set up is making it basically too easy to get them.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but I can tell you right now, on Chesapeake alone, hell, I just went and just dumped all my ingots on one of the, I think it was the Master of Trades, and I already got 8 million points, and and that was just, I had the whole thing to myself, and that was actually the one in Feluca, and I had that whole thing to myself, and I got 8 million points. So I'm just thinking to myself, nobody was really working up the Master of Trades over in Feluca, so I just worked that sucker right on up, and I got 8 million points to, spend. I can buy 10 glasses and easily resell those things for, a good profit, at least $1 million or $2 million, or if not more. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was a scripter, hell, this would be easy. And then somebody who has sold one of those reward items to was actually like, can you build up the fisher, the one that's a fisherman, the fisherman collection agent. And I said, there's no way in hell you would be able to get 800,000 points unless you went and script, to get that. I don't know about you guys, but some of the community collection agents are just extremely hard to do, while some others, like the Master of Trades, it's just extremely easy, especially if you get a huge pile of ingots just sitting around or something like that from over all the years, due to the fact that the crafting profession has just went to crap, and you really never had any need or demand to use any of those ingots, so they've just been piling up over the years, or so to speak. Go ahead, Lavender.
Again, I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I think that it is going to take away the value of a lot of the artifacts that some people are able to get. But again, I'm going to have to go back to, and I haven't used this very much. I did donate some gold that I had got, on one of my hunting nights, what was left after I died so many times from insurance. But I think what they're trying to do is bring back the necessity for our, need for crafters, or for those of us who do have strictly crafter characters, giving them some kind of reward, because my crafters they don't have much gold at all. And for this here, at least they can do something to get some kind of reward for their hard work and their efforts for the things that they do, craft or mine or, so forth.
Yeah, but do you think, like for example, one Valerite ingot should be equivalent to that of 535 gold in terms of, donating to the community collections? Do you think that's right, or do you think the points ought to be down a little bit lower, say maybe around 10 or so, like 150, equivalent to 150 gold instead of 535? What do you think about that, Lavender?
Yeah, I do think that's a little ridiculous, actually quite a bit ridiculous. I think what they need to do is take into consideration the fair market value and what typically you would get off of a vendor for, per ingot, and kind of use that evaluation or, that formula to calculate how much you're being rewarded for these points. I do think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because, I was just thinking to myself, if I was a scripter, where would I be scripting? I would be scripting in Feluca. And as we all know, in case you don't know about this already, you get 2 to 1 on your resources in Feluca. So if you're out mining in Feluca, you're getting double resources, so to speak. And you can actually accumulate a bunch of ingots in just a matter of time. If I was just a unattended script mine overnight, I could very well probably have, a good 60,000 ingots, or if not more, or just waiting for me in the morning. So, I mean, I'm just thinking about, people just going out there and scripting and mining away and just hauling this stuff, and whenever they are awake and at their computer, just taking it in and cashing in. I mean, where's the challenge in that, And I think that's the problem we're seeing with the resources on the community collection agents, because those resources are so common and easy to come by that there's scripts out there for them and everything. Go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, I just happen to be in the ingot business on Sonoma, and I have been for years. The current going rate, for example, of outright ingot, I'm selling them for 60 a pop. It's anywhere from 70 a pop to 8. I undercut everybody a little bit because I'm that kind of a sneaky dealer. Anyway, but that's about the going rate. So, you mentioned running them out, worth 150 gold or maybe 200. That sounds much more reasonable than what you're saying, they're going for, because like I say, that's the going street value. I don't know what it's like on the other shards.
Yeah, on Chesapeake, I've been noticing the price of ingots been going up as well to, say, 100 gold per round Luna and stuff like that. So I guess the top going rate is about 100 gold per on Chesapeake. I don't know what it's like on other shards. I've seen them as high as 155 gold per Baylorite ingot on some shards like Atlantic and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, the value of these ingots are really getting up there. But if you're selling for 60 gold per, I definitely need to hook up with you and buy all those ingots from you. Definitely would love to do that after the show. Go ahead, Deadeye.
The reason they're selling like that on Sonoma is because they were up about the price that you were talking about. But there was this guy, nobody will tell me who he is. He's this dirty, rotten archer dude, he runs around in a red suit, and he went out and worked his brains out mining for, like day and night for many, many months, and went in and undercut everybody and made that happen. Now, I think they're looking for him with a new rope, but, boy, I haven't seen him nowhere except maybe in the mirror this morning.
Yeah, well, he's probably cashing those ingots in right now on the reward system, so, but still, I'd definitely have to hook up with you. How many ingots would you say you have on Sonoma right now?
Oh, I don't know. Right now, only a couple of thousand right now, but I mine the sea cliffs over there in Fell. I can get a lot of them quick.
Oh yeah, so you get them 2 for 1, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, let's just take this into account, everybody. Not only are you getting 2 for 1, and you can just imagine what somebody like, the DJ Deadeye over there through normal gameplay is getting in terms of ingots and, maybe in an hour's time. But can you imagine somebody who is out there doing this all night long, unattended, not even putting any work into it or even effort for that matter into, mining all these ingots and just, basically getting a free ride to all these prizes, I mean, that thought alone disgusts me, and actually, you have to ask yourself once everybody gets what they want in terms of reward items and everything, just exactly where's the community collections going to be at? 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months from now, is it still going to be fresh and alive and still going? Is people going to still keep putting ingots into it, or what? I mean. It'll be interesting to see where he is 6 months from now. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Go ahead, Deadeye.
Yeah, but it's interesting you're talking about what the kind of returns you can get over there, getting the 2 for 1 and mining and Fell. In the last year or so, we used to be. I boat mine over there in Fell, which makes it a lot safer. You're out on the boat and everything. And Lord, we got a spot over there we call the honey hole. And I move back and forth about 4 board links, and I can get every ingot except for like 3 of them, 3 different kinds of metal in that one spot. And anyway, we moved back and forth. But it used to be that place, there were people on boats mining over there all the time. You had to turn around. You might have to go over there and wait for somebody to get out of the spot. We have different locations where we get vast amounts of particular kinds of ore. And I know all those places and all that kind of stuff. But nowadays, I go over there and mine it. I don't see nobody, man.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad, I guess, in some locations and whenever you go out there and mine, because, a lot of, well, they probably either quit or they're over in, Trimble, messing with all the new stuff that UOML has put out there and stuff like that. That's my guess. But anyways, to go ahead and move on, I'm going to go ahead and go to our next topic here. Do you think this expansion is intended to make items common enough for the average player so they can build a good suit? And then it goes on to say, good suit and weapons reasonably easy. If so, do you think this is good or bad? I don't know if you guys have, actually, I want to bring up a very good point here, and it actually made me think a little bit. I don't know if you guys have listened to the Tokyo UO Town Hall meeting, which is now available up on UORadio.com in our download section. The only thing is, if you want to download that, you have to be registered on a form, on a website to download that. But if you listen to that, you will actually hear somebody ask about, the high-end properties and stuff like that with UOML and everything. And basically, one of the response given to that was, hey, we understood that there was the haves and haves not, so what we did with UOML is basically made it pretty much easy to where everybody could get high-end items, so that way everybody was on an even playing field. I guarantee you, if you listen to that recording, you will hear that response. And I was thinking, I heard that, and I thought to myself, oh my God! I mean, let's just think about this for a minute, guys. If they set the limit or the roof limit up too high, and we're already pretty much already at high-end items, how in the hell are they going to be able to revamp crafting in the future and make it unique or even worthwhile? I mean, how are we going to get to the point where all these items are high-end property items? How are we going to, come along with crafting revamps or changes and say, hey, we got something good for you? I mean, how's that going to appeal to anybody nowadays, to where they actually want to get out there and craft when they have all these, high-end items just piled up in their houses and stuff? I mean, how long is it going to take for that stuff to get out of circulation and all? I mean, and then, just what do you think the people's reaction will be whenever they take out all these high-end property items that come from monsters and stuff like that and replace them and say, well, now you got to get them from crafters and stuff? I don't think that's going to sit well with a lot of players here in the future, but if you want my honest opinion, if you're looking for a way to profit and build up some good stuff or good inventory, I would start building up your inventory now for when those changes do come in, because last week, if I'm not mistaken, we had an interview with Mr. Tact as well, which you can download as well. And he was basically suggesting about bringing in some changes for crafting here sometime here in the future. And basically, his whole reasoning or whole ideal behind crafting changes was that, instead of, everybody being dependent on the crafters were also going to be dependent on the hunters. Well, that made me think. I mean, at first, when I heard that statement, without thinking, I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. But then I got to thinking about it a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh, we better take a little time out and think about this for a little bit, because think about it. I mean, just look at champs. Whenever you go look at champs, you got all these major Sir guilds or big, large 150-plus people guilds that control champ spawns. Now, can you imagine something like this being controlled by these Sir guilds on various shards with regards to these unique ingredients needed for crafting? I mean, can you imagine who's going to be winning in that given scenario? I hope to God, that's not the case, because I think, EA is going to have to put a whole lot more thought into something like that rather than make it, some kind of ingredient which you get from hunters, because if it comes from hunters, that means you got to go out and hunt it from a monster or something like that, which means Zerg guilds, large guilds. Yes, that's right. So I'm kind of curious as I'm looking over at IRC here and everything. I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think about that as well. But go ahead, Deadeye. What do you think?
Well, comment I have about that, back, the original question, do I think they're making it easy for people to get, good items, good armor, good weapons stuff? Yes, I do. And this is what I'm seeing. I've just been kind of running around. I haven't been participating in directly at some a little bit, but I've just kind of been running around watching and looking and checking things out. And it looks like to me that the rules have already changed. You can go down here and do some relatively simple quests and get some really, really good items. And sometimes when you do, if you do the same quest and do it over and repeat it, sometimes you'll get a really great sack for it, and so other times you don't get such a good sack, but sometimes you're getting some really, really killer items out of them. But overall, these things being easily available from the easy quest is going to make a lot of what we considered before this expansion to be high-end items now. But we've got all this new stuff that requires this and that, and bane and gems and all this other stuff that you have to assemble. And the more high end it is, the more difficult it is for the crafters to make it. Those are going to be our new high end items. For example, I just went shopping just to look to see what some of the new stuff was available over in Luna yesterday, and I picked up a bow called Elven Bow that somebody had that was one of the craftables that requires. I didn't look up to see what it requires, but it's called Windsong. And I took that thing over to I needed some arrows, and I went over to the Ratman over there in Elsinore, and I went over there, and that is the absolute fastest shooting thing I ever put in my hand. It way far exceeds anything else we had speed-wise. I'm over there, and before I know it, there's dead stuff everywhere. So I think the rules have already changed, folks, and I think you sit around and figure it out. In other words, the common players are going to be able to acquire the stuff that we consider to be high-end before this expansion. There is a new set of high-end stuff. But I'm wondering what that's going to do to the P versus P folks. I mean, our characters still only have so many hit points. If you get items so hard, they're already talking about archers knocking them down in 2 licks and stuff like this one. I think they're going to have some real problems with some of those.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say here after you got done talking is, like I said, there's a ceiling here, so to speak, because you can only go so high with those properties before you start getting one-hit kills on everything. I mean, you're going to have one-hit kills pretty much, or on monsters, you're going to have pretty much one-hit kills on players and everything. So, I mean, where do we draw the line on something like this? I mean, on the high-end property items. I mean, I guarantee you really need to listen to the Tokyo Yo Town Hall meeting, and you will probably find some things out that you probably didn't know about before. You would actually probably be rather surprised. But it's definitely this. And by the way, this was done on August 25th, which is not too long ago. Actually, about a week or two ago. So this isn't like old, outdated information from June or anything like that, like the Washington D.C. Yo Town Hall meeting. This was actually done on August 25th, which was about 5 or 6 days before the release of the expansion. So, and it's been only about 15 days, so since the expansion. So, you have to really think about this kind of stuff. Where's the game headed in terms of, what kind of effect is it going to have on PvP, and what are they going to do about that? Are they going to say, are they going to ignore it, or are they going to address it, and how are they going to address it, and stuff like that? So, I mean, there is a ceiling on everything, whether we choose to believe that or not. I mean, and so I don't know. I'm actually kind of worried now that I start thinking about it more and more in detail. But, like I said, it's actually kind of scary. Go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, yeah, like I was talking about that just for the example, the first one of the new highly craftable items with all the ingredients I picked up. I was shopping in Luna, found this Windsong bow. I give somebody $150K for it. I don't know if that's a fair price or not. But anyway, I picked it up and wanted to check it out. And the whole thing seemed to be about being able to shoot like really, really fast. And I do mean really fast, folks. And I guarantee you, it just floored me as the big difference from what we've ever seen before. Because I guarantee you that if I take that weapon and go over here and combine it with one of these killer new quivers with the heavy cold damage, fire, lightning especially, and I go over here like this, I've got a legendary archer, and I've never PvP'd, but I'm going to tell you something, people. You're not going to want to get across from me, because I'm going to tell you the proverbial new one of myth and legend.
Yeah, I've been playing on Test Center. I've seen bows with properties as high as 40% speed increase in swing. and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's just going to rip through. I mean, it's just going to cut. It's just going to mow them down. I mean, whoever you use that bow on, or whether it be a monster or a player, it's just going to tear them up. I mean, just tear them up. And they ain't even going to stand a chance, especially at 40% swing increase. I mean, good Lord. I mean, they ain't even going to have a time to even get a hill off. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been playing. If you haven't played on Test Center yet, I strongly suggest you get over there and play on Test Center. Take some frost wood and set your skills to archery. Set your skills to make a bow, a few bows, and try to get some bows that have high percentage on swing increase, and I guarantee you get out there on the PvP arena over in Feluca and start using that bow. I guarantee you're going to start owning some people. You won't believe it. You'll be like, whoa, where's this game headed in terms of, with regards to PvP and everything? You're going to think, how are people going to even stand a chance now? So, really, if you haven't given it a try, I encourage you to go over there and give it a try, because, this is where, 6 months from now, it may not be a problem right now because, Frostwood is still a little bit hard to get. People are still out there trying to get it. People are still trying to get out there and get the runic kits to actually make the high-end bows. But I guarantee you, once those bows start entering circulation, there's going to be a huge outcry in the PvP arena. So, I strongly encourage you all to get over there and start testing it and post anybody on Stratix, because that's the only way it's ever going to get addressed. I mean, I'm only one person, and so I think it needs to be addressed. So, need y'all's help, Go ahead, Deadeye.
Yeah, like you were saying, you were talking about what you had seen over there on the test center. This thing that I bought in London the other day has the weapons are just plain old base speed is like 38. We've been shooting with weapons that are like 24, 25, 26 for years. Do you know how much faster that is? It's incredible.
Yeah, especially if you're a Dexter. I mean, if you're a Dexter and you got, let's say, 120 Dex, and then you get one of these bows in your hand, oh my God, you're gonna be like, whoa! I mean, you're gonna be floored.
I got 100, and I'm telling you, it just floored me.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're at 100, can you imagine what it'd be like at 120? Anyhow, to go on to what we was talking about, I've heard as people as having a high dex as 140 in some cases. So, and then you add in all these little item properties that you can get from other pieces of armor, like stamina increase 10 or 20 or whatever else, or 3 or 4 or 5, and that starts adding up, and you can get as high as a 140 in stamina, and then you get one of these bows in your hands. Good luck to these monsters and everything else. You're going to have some really tough monsters. But then, you have to think about it this way, let's say these monsters become a joke. Well, think about all this influx of gold that's going to be coming into circulation as a result of it, because all these monsters, they're not even going to be a challenge. They're not even going to stand a chance. A Lich Lord, which used to be fearsome, that you're going to be laughing at that thing. You're going to be like, he who laughs last laughs best, and that's what you're going to be saying to yourself. When he laughs at you, you're going to be laughing right on back when he hits the floor in under a second. Go ahead, Deadeye.
Just for FYI, on the Lich Lords, they have been my bread and butter for years. I haven't been back over there to check them out, but they are the new and improved Lich Lord now. They're casting things like Blood Oaths, so the rules have again changed there.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. It's been a while since I've actually bought some liches. I think the last time I really gave the liches a fight or anything like that was probably prior to pre-AOS and everything. So it's been a while since I've actually gone a deceit and fought the liches there. But, oh my God, I love those days. Running from liches and then running to another lich. Those were the days. And then running into a poison elemental chasing after you and all that. Oh man, those were definitely the days in my book. Go ahead, Lavender.
I just have to comment on that because Gozzard will actually laugh at me because for the longest time I did not want to go near a lich at all. No, nowhere near him. But now with the increase in all these weapons, especially with the bows, some of these things in the new dungeons, you definitely need some new and improved weapons because some of them are insane. We went to some of the new dungeons. I can't even tell you how many times I died. Yes, I've been away from the game quite a while and kind of lost track of, my commands and all this stuff, which contributed to it, but it still didn't even take into account the strength and hit points of these new demons and monsters. It's just insane.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't fought them in a while, but I can imagine they've made some tweaks to them over the course of the last year or two, or whatever. I don't even know how long AOS has been out to come to think of it. It's probably been in 2 or 3 years now. So, yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's been that long, but to move along to our next, well, actually, Deadeye wants to say something, so go ahead, Deadeye.
Yeah, I haven't gone back over there in Daryl Leech Lords. We'd go over them, do them by the bridge over there near between Valor and Honor Gate over there at Ilshinar, where everybody does. As a matter of fact, that's where I lorded my character at. I go over there and do that. But my roommates over here did the same thing, and I was hearing them over here the other day, and all I'm hearing is, "Oh my God, run, run! Holy crap!" And this is all going on over here. So the rules have changed, and near as I can tell, folks, do not assume anything when you go out to hunt anything these days. It appears that it is a whole new game, folks.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole new game and everything. I just don't know in what respects is it good or whatever, if it's a good or a bad thing. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Deadeye that even some of the most simple things with the monsters or anything for that matter, they have increased their strengths or the spells that they cast. I've come across so many things that I'm like, oh, no big deal, and next thing I know, I'm like half life. And so, yeah, a lot of things have changed, increased. I've noticed things in either missing or in different places that were once there that are no longer there, or have moved to a different place. So, yeah, a little more getting used to the game. And I know, like I said, again, I've been away, but I knew that things were there that are no longer there, things like that.
Okay, so you've been kind of keeping up to date on some of the changes to our game, which is good, It's always good to know what you're coming back to and everything whenever you get back. Let's see, next question or next topic on which we're going to go to here. We're actually going to, let's see, do you think the quest rewards are adequate for the effort and danger required to complete the quests? For example, whenever you go, for example, I did go over to, I think it was to do the quest to get the, and seems to be a problem for me, and this is what I couldn't understand. I don't know if you guys have tried getting the quest to where you could donate to the library or whatever, but I had to actually do that request, and I actually had to get some help from some people to fulfill that request or that quest. And the problem for me is not so much running errands. It was the fact that I had to go. Here I am, a crafter, right? I had to go and collect some poison sacs of scorpions. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, how in the hell am I going to fight scorpions if I am a pure crafter? And I'm like, there ain't even a chance I'm going to be able to do it. So I had to go around and ask. And luckily enough, knowing a bunch of DJs and, DJ Arcus and Lucid and everything, I was able to get a hold of them and get them to get me some poison sacs. But, without them or anybody else or any friends, I would have been just SOL, would have been at whoever's mercy, and maybe even highway robbery, in terms of what I would have had to pay to get somebody's help on something like that. But go ahead, Deadeye.
I know in terms of the poison sac quest, I know what one fellow did. Me and another archer, and turns out, as a matter of fact, it was a newbie archer, had popped through the gate at Ilshinar Compassion. We was going to go over there to gather up some arrows, frankly. He pops out the gate, and behind us turns around and says, "Hey, I got a proposition for you. I need to hire a couple of archers." And he turned around and he said, "I'll give you $15K for 30 minutes of your time." And we went over there, and he ran around. He was a mage or something and was able to kill some of them, but we went over there and helped him, and we got done. He went and brought us a check for $15K. It was killer.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about it and everything. Lavender.
I'm just reading an IRC. Gozzard said that he believes the new expansion promotes group play within the game now with the quests. And I do have to agree with that because some of the dungeons or even some of the quests you cannot do solo. It's just almost impossible to do solo, like the Dreadhorn. You can't do that. For a crafter, for a pally, it's all very, very challenging. The game has it's switched gears, and to think that you can do something solo, get real. There's not many of them that you can do solo, and yeah, there's been quite a few. I can't remember. Is it for the elf quest that you have to get the sap? There's just people there gathering it up and harvesting it, and we're standing there waiting for a good 30 minutes for this sap, and people are just running around just grabbing them, and then they start spamming, I'll sell it for 50K or something, and I'm like, get real, get out of here. There's people waiting to actually do the quest, and stuff like that just upsets me.
Yeah, I'm starting to quickly realize that the game is becoming more depending on other people. It's no longer a solo game, for example, and it don't even matter whatever profession you are. If you're a crafter, well, you're going to have to start relying on other people if you want to fulfill that request, so you can donate to the library. Otherwise, you're SOL and you ain't going to get anywhere. So yeah, you're going to have to start relying on a lot more people, or you're going to have to build up some new characters so that way you can do it yourself. But yeah, it's definitely a whole new game in that respect, so you're no longer going to be able to solo. And a lot of people on the message boards actually screaming about that. Oh, I can no longer solo, and crying about it and everything. I'm like, get real, I'm sorry, this is a MMOG, massive multiplayer online game, and that means you're going to have to play with other people. I mean, what I don't understand is that you get some players that come over to a game, an online game, as a matter of fact, and decide they want to play solo. I can understand every now and then, but when you make it your business to play exclusively solo all the time, I think to myself, what is the whole purpose of even playing an online game? Why do you even bother playing an online game? I mean, can't you achieve the same results in a console game, or something along those lines? Or why do you have to come over here and then have everything basically catered to you, or feel that you have to have everything catered to you? That's what I've never quite understood. You get some of those kind of players that come along on the forums over at Stratix, and I just don't understand where they're coming from, I guess. I don't know. I just haven't ever quite understood that. But go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, yeah, I think the whole thing's going to breathe new life into the game. Number one, take for example, the last time I really saw that happen was when they brought the new armor system in, and then they changed a simple thing like magic resistance, where it no longer worked on direct attack spells. I'll tell you what, for weeks after that, there was nothing but dead bodies everywhere. Everybody's title was changing because everybody was dying, and that forced everybody to turn around and say, okay, we're going to have to figure out what to do with this armor, and all this kind of thing. But I remember everybody talking after they got over the first week or two of dying. They say, hey, this is pretty cool. Everything's a lot more challenging, and everybody's having a lot more fun. So I think that's the situation we have here. Plus, we're going to have the interdependence, just like that guy did the other day. He didn't have any buddies. He needed a couple of archers, so he went and hired some, and he had to evaluate what he thought he was going to get out of that quest based on, against what he thought he would be willing to pay. And he didn't bat an eye about giving us 15K to come over there and help him for a little bit. And in that area, there's a lot of bad things. We had to go across that bridge in that area over there by Ilshinar Compassion over into that sand area, and there's all kind of bad stuff running around there, and the spawn's thick. And now, me and characters like that can run over there pretty well, but he had a tough road to hoe to get those things. But anyway, that prompted entertainment. I think it's going to breathe life into the whole game. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of griefing out of people that wanted to go over here and just waltz through and do things easy, get something for nothing. Well, I think them days are over.
Yep, totally agree. It's definitely a harsh reality and Ultima Online, I guess, for some players. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I agree completely with Deadeye, but with this, I think for the most part, the duds took into consideration a lot of the complaints that players were making about the game was too easy, or various crafters complaints and stuff like that. I think they kind of put a lot of work into different areas that people were complaining about. But one of the things that appealed to me most about Ultimate Online was the group of people that would get together and help one another. And for the most part, for a while there, everybody kind of got away from that because things weren't as challenging. You really didn't have to depend on other people or look for help to achieve a certain goal. Now it's come back to that, and I think their way of pulling people together and saying, look, this is an online game. There's lots and lots of people out there to help you achieve this, or, you can help someone achieve it, different goals or quests. I think, for me personally, I think that's appealing because you can't just waltz into a place and take something over and, get the thing done. It's like, okay, I need help. Can you help me? And, people pretty much pull together. I don't see many people saying, no, I got to do my own thing here, because they're looking to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, and what I was telling somebody, as a matter of fact, somebody was asking me how I was enjoying the expansion, and I go, oh my God, I think I'm getting UOML fever, and basically that means I was actually enjoying some of the aspects of UOML. What I like about UOML is the fact that you get 20% storage increase, which is one of my favorite things. I also like the fact that you can now label your containers, and now I can actually organize things a lot more, which is what I've been doing the last few days, just going through all my stuff in the house and just organizing it, and now I can actually look at the container and see what's all in there without having to open it up and stuff. And I think that just does so many wonders and everything. And the fact that the resources are going up in value, I like that aspect of things, because, hey, if I wanted to make a quick amount of gold, I could easily go out there and just lumberjack a bunch of wood and, it's easily make some gold. So yeah, in a way, I'm getting the OEML fever, so to speak. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I think I have too. Although I haven't had much time to play the new expansion, I have had, taken some time, gone through, tried to find all the dungeons and kind of explore every one of them. But there's been, when we got the Samurai Empire, I was very, very excited. I was actually jumping in the parking lot because we had to go to Best Buy or something and get an expansion because ours wasn't coming fast enough in the mail. And that's how excited I was. But once we got it home, we got it installed, we were disappointed because it wasn't as much as we had anticipated that it was going to be. And Goddard had actually considered quitting UO and he was playing another online game. He wasn't dedicated to it. And I really kind of fell back on being dedicated to building and, gains and all this stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I'm bored with it. But now it's really brought back the challenge. It's brought back, the group togetherness and I think that's really what they needed to do. I think they gave it a lot of things that it really needed to have that it's been lacking for so long.
Yeah, I definitely agree and everything. But as we all know, bugs and problems come with each and every expansion and everything. And of course, not everything's still perfect with UAML. I think once they fine-tune UAML and everything, I think we'll start seeing more positive changes come about for UAML, and I think we'll see a better product. In other words, but go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, we heard a lot of talk. Excuse me, my mic's moved. We heard a lot of talk, especially at first, because what they were trying to do with the town hall meetings is show people what they were going to do and everything else. But they're just really, and even running the test center, man, there really wasn't any way to really get all the information out there and truly describe what I'm seeing. With the scope of the thing is absolutely vast throughout the entire world of Ultimate Online. And it's just one of those things, like I was saying sometime before in one of the talk shows, it's one of those things that I was waiting for, and I'm going to have to get out and play. And I think we have ourselves I think it's going to be in their result. Of course, there's always going to be some bugs and problems and some things that's going to have to be tweaked and all this kind of thing. But I think we have a great expansion on our hands.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing about expansions and everything, you really never can gauge the amount of excitement or the amount of popularity behind something. For example, you couldn't have possibly known that UOML was going to be so great and everything unless, and really, I'm sure to an extent that the people over at EA really couldn't gauge it either, considering you never know until it goes public. You really have to get a wide range of reactions to UOML. In some regards, UOML did some things bad to the game, but for the most part, I would say UOML brought about a lot of good changes to the game. And so, for the most part, I would say UOML was pretty good, except for some of the PvP aspects of the game. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, there's definitely some things that need to be fine-tuned or worked on, and there's different areas that maybe they could have added a little more or taken some of it away. But for the most part, I think this is a very successful expansion. Like I said, the disappointment, I think, from a lot of the players when, the Empire came out was just overwhelming. And I think this time they actually, took a lot of players' concerns and complaints into consideration when making this new expansion. When I heard that UOML was coming out, I'm like, no frickin' way. I am not going to buy another expansion this soon, especially after my disappointment from one, to me seemed like just a few months ago. I'm not going to do it. But the more I read into it and really between the lines really read the dedication and the time and the fact that they really took in a lot of the players' thoughts and feelings into this game. I think that's what made the difference to me. And once we got it, I am very, very happy that I got the expansion, and I'm just thrilled to death.
Yeah. One thing I do have a problem with about the expansion, and that's the community collections. And what I have a problem with exactly is the fact that, for example, I don't know if you had this problem yet, but have you ever noticed that whenever you go to a community collection agent, you double click on it, right, and you get this pop-up menu basically as to what they accept and how many reward points they give you and stuff like that. What I would like to see, and what really bothers me, if you're donating things like books or anything like that, you have to click on it and then click on the book, and then you got to do that over and over. So I don't know, but for me, I wanted to donate 55,000 books to a fisherman, but there's got to be an easier way than doing all of this clicking, so to speak. I would and I don't know, if I have to click on something 55,000 times to just be able to get 800,000 points, I'm sorry. That, to me, was not only bad on my wrist, it is also bad on my mouse. I'd actually like to see them maybe do something different. And this is what I actually proposed to EA in one of my posts on Stratix and everything. And basically the idea behind my proposal is that, maybe they ought to introduce a new Gump, which is a little pop-up, something that pops up whenever you click on them, and this Gump should be the backpack, a backpack of the NPC. And what you ought to do is have this backpack and the menu pop up at the same time, and basically what you do is you just drag over whatever you want to put into the backpack, from your backpack, and then it goes in there, and once you're ready to put everything in there and you want to finalize it, and go ahead and accept everything that you want to put in there, you just close out the backpack and it automatically accumulates all the points as to what all you put in there. And and let's say you put any items in there that they don't accept it, immediately it goes back into your backpack or something like that. I think that would be a lot easier rather than having to click, 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 and it's just driving me insane. All this clicking, I want for it to go away. I'd rather drag and drop, That's so much easier rather than all this clicking. I don't know about you guys. I want to hear from the people in IRC whether you think that's just absolutely driving you nuts. Click, 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 click. It's driving me nuts. I don't know if it's doing the same for you guys. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I have to agree. Also, the thing with the quests, that you have to mark the quest items, that's just driving me insane. You make the items, like the quest, for instance, they should be able to read some of the older quests, they somehow sense or read or whatever, that you're so far along in the quest or something. When you go up to one of the quest givers, it should be able to do that same thing. But then having to mark the quest items, that drives me nuts. I understand that maybe it doesn't give you the chance of taking a good item that you've created and, avoiding that whole situation. But having to mark them is just, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is why would you have to mark poison sac as a quest item? I mean, what else can you use it for? I mean, seriously. I mean, it ought to be a quest item, and it ought to, the system ought to be able to recognize that it's a quest item without the need to actually go out and mark it. I mean, you shouldn't have to mark anything. You should be able to give the NPC, just like I said, this little gump, and just drop these items in there, and they automatically recognize that, hey, this is one of the things I need in the quest that I gave you. So, I think that would be so much better rather than all this freaking clicking. It's driving me absolute insane. I mean, if I get carpal tunnel in my wrist from all this clicking, guess who I'm sending the bill to? EA. EA, I'm sending the bill to you. That's all I can say. Go ahead, Deadeye.
Oh, heck, Viceroy, you're just going to end up with a stronger mouse muscle. Anyway, anyway, with regards to the deal, what I truly think that happened here, they've taken the responsibility of identifying the items off of the server that we're playing on and put it back over onto us. And I'm sure that's got to have something to do with reducing the load on the server. Maybe they needed it. I don't know. But I do have to agree one thing. It is kind of tweaky, kind of hard on your eyeballs, picking out items and clicking on them to highlight them like that. I do think your idea of being able to drop it on a gump, like drop it into the NPC's a pack or a receiver of some kind, is a better idea. And it seemed like to me it would accomplish the same thing. In other words, the server doesn't have to recognize the items that are in our pack and identify that we have them all that and all that stuff, which adds load to what's going on. But I think your idea would accomplish the same thing that I think they tried to accomplish with what they did.
Yeah, and I actually think my idea would actually make things a lot easier in terms of what all they have to do. If you haven't done it yet, folks, all you people out there who are tuned in and listening right now, if you haven't done it yet, I strongly encourage you to go to a fisherman, yes, that's right, or any of the community collection agents that accept books or spell books or anything like that. And I want you to individually donate each of those spell books one by one and see how many you can donate before you either give up, get bored, or one of the two. I really challenge you guys to do that. And then tell me if you don't think my idea would probably be better in a situation like that. Go ahead, Lavender.
I was just going to say, the first time I did one of the quests, I actually walked up to the NPC, tried to drop my item on the NPC, and it gave me this message, you have to mark your item or whatever. I'm like, what the hell do you mean I got to mark my item? So I'm standing there, and I'm trying to click on the item going, okay, how the hell do I mark it? So it took me probably a good 5 minutes to figure out how I'm supposed to mark this item, a quest item. Once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, that was pretty dumb because, it was probably a sap or something that is brand new and it can only be used for that. But that drove me nuts. But I do agree with the gump system. If you click on it and it brings up some sort of gump and it reads the items in your backpack and say, for instance, if you sell something to an NPC, it reads what you have in your backpack that NPC will accept. And you have 50 books, then you click the plus or minus for however many that you want to donate. I think something like that would be much easier, much simpler, and a cleaner system than what they currently have, on there now, because that's a lot of work on our part.
Yeah, and let me emphasize on what I was talking about earlier. With regards to the books, donating each individual book one by one. I mean, it's like I donate a book, right? Then the screen pops back up, right? And then I want to donate another book, so I have to flip 2 pages. Then I have to click on the little gem to mark the item that I want to donate. Then I have to search in my backpack and then click on it, and then the gum pops up back again. Then I have to flip through 2 pages. That's 2 clicks, by the way, flipping through 2 pages. Then I gotta click on the gem again. That's 3 clicks. Then I gotta click on the item in my backpack, and that's 4 clicks for every book that I want to donate. I don't think I ought to have to click on something 4 times. I would much rather click and drop, and that be it, and then right click and close out backpack whenever I'm done. As far as marking items, yeah, if it wasn't for Lucid with me, telling me how to mark the items, I would have never figured it out. I would have, for the life of me, never figured it out. The only way I figured it out was she said, you had to right click on yourself or left click on yourself, and then you get this gump that basically says mark item as quest item or something like that, something to that effect. And so I did that, and I marked it, and then, it worked. But, had it not been for her, I would have never even figured it out. I would have been in sheer frustration over it. And like you said, these are unique items that really serve no other purpose than for the quest items. So, why is there the need to actually mark these items? You shouldn't have to, especially if you're going up to this NPC to supposedly give it back. And yeah, at first, last week I actually suggested that we maybe be able to drop it on the NPCs, but somebody said, you could drop it on the NPC and miss the NPC, which I can understand, which is why I proposed the Gump, which is the NPC's backpack. Then you just close it out, whenever you're finished, and then it accumulates all the points. Simple as that. I think that would be definitely a lot easier. But anyways, go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I agree with that. They need to come up with something that's a little better system than how they're working it, because to me, okay, on the website, that's where I found a lot of my information before I even started playing the new expansion. I think they left out a lot of information that is very useful to the players that are now in ML. And for instance, marking your quest items. That's simple, but something we needed to know. And myself, for instance, and a couple people on IRC, we stood there for several minutes trying to figure out how to mark these stupid things. And something as simple as clicking on yourself, but it was, the website lacked that information. Just something simple, but something we needed to know.
Yeah, and, and we have to, some of us is smarter than others, and so, but I'm not saying, I'm just saying for the people that don't know these kind of things or unable to figure these things out, I think it would definitely be good to have something out there to say, hey, this is how you do it, for the uneducated, so to speak. Go ahead, Deadeye.
I have noticed that about the expansion, the available information about all these intricacies of where you find things and how you do things and stuff of this nature have been left very vague. It kind of reminds me, if you were, I don't know, years ago they used to have these old text-type computer games where it would just tell you in text what was going on, and you had to look at what you had and figure out what was going on and what you needed to do and all this kind of stuff. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Everybody's running around scratching their head. I know my roommates here, since I'm the most advanced player of the bunch, and I basically mentored all of them in UO. They're used to being able to sit here with me and turn around and turn around and don't know how to do something and ask me how to do something. Well, I don't know anything more than the rest of you do, people, and they're out here running around trying to do Mondane's Legacy, and they're driving driving me absolutely bonkers. I turned around and I had two other people online playing him Mondane's Legacy. I turned around and I got up out of my chair and I just almost screamed at him. I said, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally understand. And another thing I want to cover, basically, which is what I think they could improve on. I don't know if you looked at the reward items on the community collection agents, but if you look at the reward items and you put your mouse over it, it only gives the name of the item rather than also the properties. And a lot of people have been asking about the properties for these items as well, because I mean really, you don't want to get all these points and accumulate all these points and then spend it only to find out you got a crappy item out of the reward list. I mean, of course you want to go for the best item in there, and so you know, a lot of players have been asking for item properties to be listed on the list, in addition to the name of the item on the reward list. I wonder what you guys think about that over in IRC. So you go ahead and let me know what you guys think, but go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I agree. There should be the property listing. When you mouse over the item, it should at least give you what you're looking at. I mean, like you said, you don't want to give up a bunch of your stuff that you've collected or just give it away and you don't even know what you're getting. And like with the EA expansion, when it came out, they ended up changing some of the properties. What was listed on the website, we're like, wow, I want to get this and get that. And then once you got it, then they ended up changing the properties on it. And for the most part, there was a couple items I got for, I don't know, LRC, I'm going to say. And then they ended up changing it, taking it off or whatever. And then, it just kind of ticked me off. But they should at least have some, give us some kind of idea of what we're looking at. If we're going to work this hard or, give some of this stuff that we've really worked for or saved up or whatever, we want an idea of what we're getting. So, yeah, I do agree. If you mouse over it, it should give you the properties of it.
Yeah, and, yeah, that would definitely be something that they need to add or put on their list of things to do. I would like to see that, put in there and everything, because I really hate having to get out of the game and go to a website to find all this information as to what I'm going to be getting whenever I choose this reward. I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to leave the game, period, to find anything out. That's my personal opinion on something like that. Go ahead. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here, and it says, let's see, since UO has become a very complex game, especially with the new UOML expansion, do you think that they will be continuing to add an average of 2 expansions per year? And which has been the average, or is that too much? And should it be slowed down a bit? In other words, no more expansions for quite a while. I mean, do you think they ought to You think they ought to roll out 2 expansions every year, or you think they're just going to entirely too fast? I want to know what you guys think about that. I mean, because I think it's been in the last year they've already rolled out 2 expansions, which was Samurai Empire and UO Modane's Legacy now. So I think it's been about 7 or 9 months since Samurai Empire, so I'm kind of curious to what you guys feel about, what seems to be like the UO team devoting a lot of resources to expansions all of a sudden. Do you think it's a good move or a bad? Go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, I'm kind of like this in reference to, I don't think it was bad and what we've seen before, because none of those previous expansions, I believe, had anywhere near the vast amount of content that this one does. I know for myself, and I think you see everybody running around in total confusion, we have a tremendous amount of new material to digest here, and it's going to take a while. So, yeah, I think they need to let this one be the last one for a while and let us chew on the one we got, because there's an awful lot to chew on, people.
Yeah, go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that maybe if they do one once a year, but these two here so close together, I think was a bit much. Like I said, I was considering not even getting into this new one. But I think, like he said, we have an awful lot of information, awful lot of, new area to get used to explore. And I think right now, we've bit off a chunk. Let us eat it, but I think if they do one a year, that will give them the period of time, of 1 year between the expansions to fine-tune the last, the expansion that's already existing. Before they start working on a new one, it's like, okay, you give us all this new information. There are things that need to be fixed or improved or fine-tuned. Fix that before you move on to the next one. If you give us new stuff, at least give it to us in the right way before you give us something else that we're falling back on old things that still aren't working right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in that respect, and just to give you some examples, if we have our live team supposedly fixing problems and bugs with every expansion, well, just exactly how much time are they going to have to fix things like the virtue system, factions, and PvP? I mean, they're not going to have any time to rebalance those things and revamp those things if they're always having to fix bugs and issues with every expansion. So, I mean, do we really want to be devoting their resources, time and resources to expansion fixes all the time, or do we want to give them some time to have some time in between every expansion to touch on those little things? For example, Mr. Tack was actually thinking about revamping the whole entire virtue system entirely to where it's totally entirely different. If you haven't listened to it yet or not, you definitely might want to listen to that. I think he made some pretty good proposals in regards to changes to the virtue system and stuff like that. But I think we really need to give them an opportunity or time that they need to actually work on things that need to be fixed that haven't been fixed for some time. They are giving a black eye, so to speak. But that's my thoughts on that. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The virtue system, for instance, how long has that thing been in the system? And it doesn't even completely work. Not everything is activated. You can't. That whole thing, that's a sore thumb for me. But there are so many things that are already in the game that really, really need lots of help. I think that is the biggest part for a lot of the veterans leaving, going to a different game. And because there are so many things existing in the game that need help, need fixing, whatever. And then they just, boom, within 1 year give us 2 expansions. And I look back and I'm going, okay, we now have 2 expansions, but something, last year still isn't working right. Why haven't they actually put some time and effort into fixing those problems?
Yeah, I've kind of wondered the same myself, and I guess that's just because they're just entirely too busy. I'm not even sure how many people are even on the live team now that I think about it. I sure to hope to God it ain't just 2 or 3 people, because I'm starting to get the impression that's just exactly how many people there are. I have a feeling that the live team's a very small team. But anyways, to go ahead and move on to our next topic here is let's see. What do you think about the future expansion that adds seagoing warfare to UO with vastly improved ships with cannons and such? That is one of the interesting topics that came up in the Tokyo UO Town Hall meeting. So if you want to hear the response, I won't spoil the spoiler. But if you want to hear what EA's response was on that, you would definitely want to check out the Tokyo UO Town Hall meeting, in which we have in our download section on UORadio.com. I definitely encourage you all to go over there and download that. It was actually, they asked some pretty good questions, if you want my honest opinion. However, it is in Japanese, but they do translate over into English, so you'll have to listen to a lot of Japanese, but you'll understand the questions. It's pretty easy to understand what they're asking and everything after they translate. Anyway, go ahead, Deadeye.
Yeah, as far as having a future expansion that involves naval warfare, I think that'd be really, really cool. I think it had a whole complete new aspect to the game. One thing, piracy, I think would also take an awful lot of work for our developer team, because there'd be a lot of work involved with that and graphics and all kind of cool stuff, new combat systems and on like that. But just think, we have all these vast oceans that all we do is sail around and do some fishing, and a lot of basically surface area of the world of Cesaria that we're not utilizing. I mean, think of it. I think it'd be pretty cool, and I think it'd add a kind of a challenging aspect to my boat mining to have an armed ship, because somebody might come up and try to come over here and sink my ship and steal my cargo and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know if I ought to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and let Lavender go ahead and comment. Go ahead, Lavender.
Well, I'm going to say this from one of my characters is the Admiral of the Royal Navy on Lake Superior that the Royal Guard has just, yes, dear. Sorry, my daughter's asking me a question. But, yeah, I think there is such a big area of water that really there could be more done with it as far as cannons and stuff like this. I think maybe it could add even more to the game. Exactly how they plan on doing it, I don't know. I like the idea, but I guess I really would have to see what their idea is all about and kind of, I don't know, take a back seat on it, but I think it's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, I definitely agree and everything. But what I want to say is that, yeah, it would be cool to maybe create an armada or something like that and everything. I actually got somebody here talking to me right now as we speak. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to our next topic unless you guys have anything to add to that. Well, I also kind of curious as to whether or not you guys think they'll ever remove sub-server lines or anything like that from Ultima Online. Go ahead and ask. Let me know if you guys think they'll ever end up doing that. Deadeye?
Yeah, I don't really see any way they're going to have to do that, because they're still going to have different servers controlling different areas. I mean that's what's required. I've got to say one thing: over the years, we're having a lot less problems with those lines than we used to. Remember how tweaky they were? Playing or fighting or doing P versus M around the server line was a very, very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, and because I don't know if about PvP, but if you ever been in PvP, a lot of people use the server line to their advantage to basically prevent themselves from dying from another player or something like that. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I don't know how much you guys PvP, but that is a common tactic used whenever people are PvP. And I'll go ahead and spill the beans. Basically, what they said in the Tokyo Yo Town Hall meeting, whenever somebody asked about, the possibility of a future expansion involving sea warfare and armadas and stuff like that, in canyons and all that, or cannons and all that, was that whenever you cross the server lines, it creates a bunch of problems in terms of technical problems, and so that's not possible as of yet. So they would basically, what I'm getting the impression is that they would have to essentially remove the sub-server lines to ensure that there's no graphical glitches or anything like that occur whenever you cross the server line during a naval warfare battle. That's where I was pretty much leading with that question, but I spilt the beans on that one topic right there. But there's definitely a lot of other tough questions in which they asked of the people from EA, which they gave some pretty interesting responses to, which I didn't even think of myself. So I encourage you all to, check it out and stuff like that. But anyhow, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here. Is what do you think is the toughest monster right now, or the strongest monster? Is the Harry still the king of the hill, so to speak? Do you guys think it's still the strongest monster in the game, or do you think Proximus, which is came out with UOML, is now the strongest monster? Go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, I haven't been out in here in the little dungeons, but I've been getting a tremendous amount of feedback, and some of this feedback are people that go out and do champ spawns, and they're around Hunt the Harrow and everything, talking about how tremendously mean and wicked some of these new monsters are. So I think maybe the old Harrower has maybe not king of the mountain anymore.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I was just going to say I think his mountain is melting because some of these new monsters are insane. They are crazy. Like I said, I died lots and lots of times in the new dungeons and new areas. So, yeah, I think his mountain is slowly melting.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to our next question here and everything. Let's see. Let's see. What do you think is the toughest? Well, I just asked that question, didn't I? I'm repeating myself now. Do you feel like the Bushido?
Wake up, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta wake up now. Do you feel that the Bushido archers are overpowered and have brought an imbalance to you? What do you guys think about that? Do you think Bushidos are partly responsible for the imbalance regards to PvP or anything like that? Go ahead, Deadeye.
I don't PvP, but I know a lot of people that do, and all I hear is that we've had various types of PvPers out here, and basically what we like to refer to as our PKs or our Reds out here that have pretty much been ruling the roost. And all of a sudden we had these new things, archers. We have stealth archers, we have these Bushido archers and everything, and they're talking about getting knocked down. Well, my feeling is, as far as an imbalance, I don't feel too sorry for them because I think it's kind of cool. They've been on top of the hill for so long now. They got a brand new boogeyman out there, and I'm kind of got sitting around my folding chair and popcorn, kind of watching the whole thing. And I feel this: if something changes in the game, or say for even P versus M, if they change the abilities on a monster, like I just told you what they've done with the Leech Lords, I guarantee you, if you've been hunting Leech Lords and you haven't been since expansion, you're going to get big surprise when you go over there again, and you better bring somebody to hit. Make sure somebody's long as hit that's going to res you in a lot of Band-Aid or whatever it is you use to heal, because you're going to be using it. From what I hear, I sit over here and watch my roomies die, and they're all legendary, by the way, at what they do. Anyway, if you've got something that suddenly changes and it calls for a change of tactics of some sort. I think there's always a way around it, even though like the 2-hit kills and something. And this is what I'm seeing, some players. In other words, don't play hard, play smart, So, sometimes what they're calling an imbalance is just a change in the game. Personally, I find that to be challenging. Something changes, and I've got to stand back. Sitting over here with my rear end shot off, trying to stick all my feathers back on, and I'm sitting over here scratching my head, trying to figure out, okay, we're going to have to come up with another approach to this problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as saying it's an imbalance. I think it's just a new way of fighting, and even if it is PVM or PvP or B versus M, I think it's just, it's a new system, it's a new way of combat, and they're so used to the old way, and now they have to kind of go back, train themselves or something, but just reinforce themselves in different modes, and I think that's why they're upset and saying it's an imbalance. I don't know if I would say so much as maybe I should just shut up. I don't know if I would say it's an imbalance.
All right. We're going to go ahead and go to our next topic because we're quickly running out of things. While you was talking over there, I was quickly talking to another person here, and I hope it didn't come across the mic. But anyways, let's see. I think we pretty much covered just about everything except for this last one. Do you think the success rate of obtaining resource items for crafting, such as gems for mining, lumberjacking, and fishing, is too low? Do you think that's... speaking of that, that brings up a point of mine, and I was actually fishing in Felucca yesterday, and being you get 2 for 1 on everything pretty much. I was actually doing some fishing in Felucca. I noticed I wasn't getting no 2 fishes for every 1 fish, that you would normally get 1 fish in Trimble. I was actually getting 1 fish in Felucca, which is the same as Trimble. So I was actually kind of disappointed that I didn't get 2 fishes instead of 1, because I was under the assumption I would have gotten 2 fishes. I found that out yesterday. I might bring that up with EA and say, hey, look, we ain't getting as many fishes in Felucca like we're supposed to be getting. And what are your thoughts on that? Go ahead, Deadeye.
Well, I can say for one, that's interesting what you mentioned about the fishing. I have a good friend of mine. They've been out fishing. I don't know if they've been fishing in Trimble or Felucca. Probably Felucca. Well, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I haven't heard anything. I know that the mining in Felucca is the same as it was because I was out doing that after the expansion took over. But there's 2 schools of thought. I've been hearing a lot of talking people going, wow, if you're out mining and mining ore and looking for these gems, for example, or lumberjacking looking for that one gem you get there, or fishing, for example, I hear a lot of talk about everybody saying that they really come really slow, and they do. I think it depends a lot on your ability, but there's 2 ways of looking at that. I think what that's going to do, some of these weapons and for example, bow quivers and stuff that you can make with these items, they are going to have some awful powerful properties. I mean, if you've got a lightning quiver for an archer, for example, that means every time you hit, that thing's going to hit with lightning. And I'm going to tell you, I use lightning weapons all the time, and they're awesome when they hit. When they hit with lightning, and they're going to hit every time. So that's just going to mean that if the gems are hard to get in the first place, and it takes a whole lot of gems in order to accomplish making these items, it means everybody and their dog's not going to have them.
Yeah. Very good point and everything. So, go ahead, Lavender.
Yeah, I just like the idea that they've made some of the things a lot more harder, and again, this goes back to making the game more challenging now. Things are more difficult to get, and by doing that, they're making things like the craftables that you can make from those items. It makes them less likely to have more of them out on the market, on vendors. It's like, oh yeah, I've got one of those. To me, it seems like even though the items or the things that you can get from the monsters may be really, really, awesome things, by not obtaining the other, like the gems and such, so easily, almost like an artifact themselves.
Yeah. Well, I guess that pretty much concludes our, our talk show for this afternoon, because I really don't have anything else to actually throw out there for a topic, and we're actually down 30 minutes early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually ask if you guys have any closing comments or anything that you want to close with, and I'm going to go down the list here, and starting with DJ Deadeye. Do you have any closing comments or anything like that?
Well, from what I can see, I've been, I kind of have a different play approach when we get an expansion. I kind of sit around. I don't go charge out in the middle of everything. I just kind of sit around and talk to people and kind of watch and pick out a few select things. I kind of ease my way into it, everything before I get, over there. It kind of helps me figure out what I need to be focused in and everything. But from what I can tell from the people I talk to, I've been spending a lot of time actually, just for the benefit of doing things like this talk show, for example, so I have somebody that will talking to people, asking what they like, what they don't like. A simple question is, are you having a good time with it? And I'm getting a big yes from everybody, and I see a lot of frustration, but you see a lot of people running around, and you can almost imagine they got foam all over their mouth, their fins down like they're in a feeding frenzy. They all kinds of new stuff to do and everything. I think we have bottom line, I think it's going to be a great expansion, and it's changed everything, which is going to revitalize the whole deal. We've got a whole new game, folks, and I think that's a great thing. And I do want to thank everybody for joining us here on the talk show, and I hope you'll be here for it next week. That's all I got to say.
Well, actually, I'm going to close out with this, and I actually just got an email from a person here that is actually listening in and says, I had in the past been very impressed with your program until I heard your talk on September the 10th, and condescending insult in people who post here on statics about the changes affecting solo play. and were whining. And says you can probably do this and disagree with them, but it's best you can manage such petty insults. No, it wasn't so much an insult, I would say. It's just my personal take on the game. So, hope you didn't take it as a personal insult. That's just where I honestly feel. And if you guys have a problem with how I voice my opinion, just because I'm the, DJ or whatever, hey, you gotta accept things, Like for example, I don't necessarily agree with everybody who I talk with, and I hope you can learn to agree to disagree sometimes. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say it's personally insulting, because if I didn't have an open mind, I don't think it would be. I'm looking for words here. I think I would be a lot more frustrated about such players and everything, but I understand they're here to stay and everything, and I'm not trying to get rid of solo players. I just haven't quite figured it out yet, so to speak. I'm not so much insulting the players who like to play solo. I just don't understand why they would play a game which is an MMOG. That's all I'm trying to get at here. Didn't mean as the insult, so if you took it as an insult, I am sorry. Go ahead, Lavender. You want to close with anything?
No, basically, I was, wow. I'm just going to say that I'm very happy with the expansion. Like I said, I was kind of disappointed with Samurai Empire expansion, but so far, for the most part, I really, really like this expansion. And I've enjoyed the talk show today. Like I said, it's my first one, so I enjoy it. And I will be on the air 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so everybody come and join us. And thanks, everyone, for joining us and listening in today. I appreciate it, I know.
Yeah, it was great having you aboard for the first time as well, and we hope to have you again sometime in the future, maybe even next week or something like that, because we do these every Saturday around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so just hit me up on ICQ and say, hey, I want to be a part of it, and I will get you on in here. Get her done.
Good deal.
All right. So with that said and everything, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the talk show for this afternoon. And I want to thank everybody out there who is tuned in and listening. And yes, I appreciate the criticism. And I do try to be mindful and considerate of everybody. But, some things I just don't necessarily agree with. And that's always going to be me. Hey, I have to disagree about something, right? Otherwise, what would I have to talk about, right? Right, exactly. Anyhow, so with that said, we're going to go ahead and close up, and I want to thank DJ Deadeye from Sonoma for joining us, and also want to thank DJ Lavender from Lake Superior. I, of course, am from Chesapeake, so for all you guys out there wondering, well, what about you? I'm from Chesapeake. So with that said, once again, thank you for joining us. Take care.